Hey folks, welcome back to Ed's Garage. Recently I was driving down the highway and I got a stubborn rock chip in my windshield. However, when I went to go get it repaired under insurance, unfortunately because of where the rock chip is located in the driver's side of the windshield, they wouldn't cover it under insurance. My insurance basically has free rock chip repair. It's part of our Insurance Corporation of British Columbia's comprehensive coverage. So unfortunately, what I'm going to need to do is fix it myself. One, I could take it somewhere myself and get it fixed, but unfortunately that's really expensive. Actually, I was quite surprised. I took it to a few different places, and the lowest quote that I got was $95 plus tax. The other option, of course, is to fix it myself. So what I did was I went online, went to YouTube, looked at a few videos, and figured I could do this myself. There's a YouTuber by the name of Project Farm, and he's got a great video where he tests out all these different DIY crack and chip repair company products. And the company that stood out was PERMATEX. So this product is fairly inexpensive. It's a bit more expensive in Canada than it was down in the States for him, but in Canada I paid about $25 for this with tax, and I believe this can only repair one chip. It repairs chips, stars, and bullseyes for repairs up to 1.25 inches. Helps to prevent further cracking, no mixing or special tools required, easy to use, and today we're going to give it a shot. So I figured there's a few things we should probably get ready. There's a couple things you're going to need. So you're going to need some isopropyl alcohol to clean the area up nicely. You're going to need some paper towel to use with the isopropyl alcohol. All right, so it's got the razor blade to clean off the adhesive or the filler. There's the actual filler resin right there. Little, what do you call these? Syringe. Oh, here we go. So it does come with an alcohol prep pad, so that's good. Got to remember to keep this little thing handy. This kind of goes over the spot once you've filled it, and then has the little adhesive pad that holds on to the thing that kind of hard to explain. This goes into that, which you'll see in a bit here. And then it comes with a thumbtack push pin in order to open up the hole in the rock chip. And then, of course, there's some instructions in here as well. Let's see if I can get those. Come on. There we go. All right. So, just so that you don't have to read the instructions, I will. All right. So that's what it comes with. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use my own rubbing alcohol because this is 99% rubbing alcohol. This stuff is, let's see here. No, it doesn't actually say. But that's okay. You can use either. And then the last thing you're going to need is sunlight, or you can use a UV light. So this is a UV curing resin, and it is currently not sunny. So you've got to do all of this in the shade, apparently, and then once you're all done, you pull the car out into the sunlight. There's no sunlight. It's miserable, gross, rainy day today. So I'm going to use one of these because that'll cure this resin as well. As a matter of fact, this is just a black light. So if you got a black light handy, you can use that too. Otherwise, do this on a sunny day so that you can pull it out into the sun afterwards. Okay, without further ado, let's go to the car and get started. All right, as you can see here, we have a small rock chip. It's very, very small. It's only about the size of maybe a pinky nail, not even. It's pretty tiny, and hopefully this will work. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just clean up this area. I can't actually feel the chip. This is called a bullseye chip because it's kind of a circle surrounding a small point. The point happens to be slightly to the left. So the break is actually on the inside of the glass. The outside only has just the tiniest little pinhole, and that's what we got to clean out because we're going to be shoving the resin into that little pinhole. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just clean up the area with the rubbing alcohol, kind of go around the area a little bit here. You're going to want to make sure that there isn't any water anywhere on the windshield above it, because the last thing you want is for a drip of water to be running down and getting into that area. So clean that up really nice and good with the rubbing alcohol. making sure not to leave any paper towel remnants behind. Get that nice and clean there. And even though you don't see, the rubbing alcohol anymore, go over it for quite a bit here because we want to make sure it's very, very, very dry and that there's no grease or film of any sort, because that the little pedestal that the syringe goes into, held on by the adhesive, really, really needs to have a good tight seal. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this pin, and we're going to see if we can kind of clean out this little area here. Unfortunately, it is quite the small hole. So some kits do come with like a tiny, tiny little drill bit. This one just comes with this push pin, which is weird. So it literally says, use the push pin to gently clean out loose debris from the pit. Use the alcohol pad to clean and prep both the pit and surrounding area, and then allow pit to fully dry. I mean, you can see that this is a very, very tiny hole, so I'm not even 100% sure if this is going to work, to be honest. I can't quite, the head of the pin is not even going in there, so I think that's the best we're able to do with the thumbtack there. I'm just going to go over it with a little more rubbing alcohol, just because I did have my hand kind of sitting there. And then the dry side of the paper towel. Clean that up good. All right, so now we need to put the little bit of adhesive on there. Now you want to make sure that the center of the adhesive tape is gone. And we're going to be putting the yellow side onto the windshield. And this small tab needs to be facing up towards the top edge of the windshield. There you go. And you're going to want to make sure, don't press too hard here, because there's always the possibility that you inadvertently cause a bigger crack. So the instructions actually just say, firmly press this onto the windshield, gently but firmly. All right, so now we have right in the center of the adhesive is where that bullseye chip is. Okay, so the next step is to put the pedestal on here. Now, it doesn't actually say anything about cleaning the pedestal, but you know what? I'm going to do that to give it a little bit of a better seal. So I'm going to go back to my rubbing alcohol paper towel here. I'm just going to give this a quick wipe and then use a dry section. Because yeah, it doesn't actually say to clean the pedestal, but the thing is, if somebody put that in there and had greasy fingers, well, then that's going to be greased up too. Now it does say to practice putting the pedestal in the middle. Yeah. All right, so we're going to pull this adhesive off. There we go. Now this is a little bit tricky because you can't actually see where the hole in the pedestal is. You just need to put the pedestal down directly, perfectly centered on the adhesive tape. And then assuming you've got it perfectly centered on the adhesive tape, the center of the hole in the bottom of the pedestal should be precisely on the bullseye. Now, if I look straight down this, I can indeed see the bullseye, so the bullseye chip. So I appear to have gotten that centered properly. And again, we're pushing somewhat firm, but not too firm, because we don't want to break anything further. Okay, so the next thing to do is actually to pour some of the resin into the pedestal. So right at the top of the adhesive tube, you can see it's got this little tab. I'm going to break that off just by twisting it. I want to be very, very careful not to get any of this adhesive on any of the paint of the car. Okay, I don't know if that actually opened up. Let's have a look here. Oh, it did. Okay. So it says to squeeze 75% of the adhesive into this tube, which is kind of amusing because how am I supposed to know how much is 75%? Okay, so now that we have what is hopefully enough resin inside there, we're going to evacuate the air from inside here using this syringe. So making sure that the syringe is actually depressed all the way down. That should be the way it comes from the package. In the package. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in here. A bit of a twist. There we go. So that's a nice tight seal, and we're going to create a vacuum now by basically lifting the syringe up. So I'm just going to put my finger down here on the bottom of the plunger. I'm going to pull this up. And as soon as it's up, it should have the ability to lock that in place using the little thing that comes with it here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so that's now drawing air out of the chip and hopefully pushing the resin down into the chip. So it says to leave it like this for 10 minutes. So basically it says create a vacuum, hold the syringe barrel with one hand and use the other hand to pull the plunger upwards until the lower indent is at the top of the barrel. Lock the plunger in place by engaging these retaining clips here, this little retaining clip, and the lower indent. This action creates a vacuum. Don't push the plunger back down. So hopefully it's now getting that adhesive to go right down into there. It says to wait 10 minutes. Leave the plunger in this position, locked in the lower position. We're going to leave it there for 10 minutes. All right, it has been 10 minutes. So the next little bit here is the fun bit. You'll notice these little indents in the syringe. One indent is currently hooked onto this little metal thing. The other indent is a little further up. So what we have to do now is basically we're going to pull this off, and the second it comes off, air is going to rush in there, and it's going to kind of force the fluid, the adhesive, down into the crack, or at least that's the idea. So we're going to take it off for a second, put it back on, and then I'm going to plunge this down to this little notch here, and that'll kind of put some air pressure on the top of it down into it. So that is the next step. All right, so without releasing the plunger, hold down the pedestal and pull the plunger out. Then put it back in. Make sure it's a nice tight seal. Get the plunger down to level 2 here, and then hook it on. All right, I almost had a bit of a hiccup there. I managed to get it, but basically this little spring contraption was kind of the other way. It was rotated this direction, and it wasn't holding that hook there, as you can see. So this is the correct orientation. Now it's actually holding the hook, and it's holding the plunger in the downward position. Before, when it was in the upright position, it was managing to hang on, but I would suggest that before starting, make sure that it is in this orientation. It seems to work a hell of a lot better this way. Anyway, so now it's currently putting pressure down onto the chip, or into the chip rather, and at this point, we need to let it sit for 20 minutes. Okay, it has been right around 20 minutes, so it says to go ahead and pull the syringe off of the pedestal, so we're going to do that. There we go. And we want to have a little bit of paper towel or something handy. And then it says to just use the razor blade, the safety razor, in order to get this off of the windshield here. I'm going to do that. And it also says to try to get the adhesive and the tab off all in one foul swoop. So let's see if we can make that happen here. Oh, well, that failed. And there goes the adhesive. Again, trying to get the adhesive on the car. And unfortunately, So at this point, the actual adhesive is inside the crack and inside the chip. And it's already looking pretty good, but it still needs to cure. So the first thing here is to wipe off the excess adhesive. However, there is a little bit of adhesive tape left over, which you want to get rid of as well. Just run that over just like that. So I can still see the chip and where it is, and a slight bit of crack on either side. So I can still see where it is, but it's pretty minor. It's almost invisible now. And the last step is to take your filling adhesive stuff and that little tiny plastic card that it comes with. So there's our little tiny plastic card. We're supposed to put a little daub right over top and then put the plastic card over top. And we want to make sure that there's no air bubbles in there, and there isn't. So it looks pretty good. And then we can discard this. Now, I am actually contemplating keeping that because it's not empty yet. Still a little bit left. So basically what I'm doing now is, it also said to use the razor blade to kind of get rid of the excess bubbles that might be underneath this little card. So that's what I'm doing. Oh yeah, there we go. It's completely gone now. All right, and then I'll just wipe around it a little bit carefully. Get rid of that excess. There we go. And then later on, once this is cured, we'll use the razor blade to just kind of scrape off any excess. So at this point, this is where we would normally move it out into the sun. Of course, I don't have sunshine, so I'm going to put the UV lamp there. UV lamp is on it. It should cure quite nicely now. I'm going to make sure, yeah, the lamp itself, nor the lamp housing is touching, because it's kind of resting on the windshield wiper here, so that's good. So just want to make sure, because this lamp will get a little bit warm, just want to make sure it doesn't actually touch anything there. And it looks good. It's not touching any of the plastics from the windshield wiper or anything like that. So I'm going to let that sit for about half an hour or so, and then I might actually put this on the inside. Actually, I'll probably let it sit for an hour, and then I'll maybe flip it over and put it on the inside of the car facing upwards. Okay, so the UV light has been sitting over top of our repair now for well over an hour. I did use a little bit of the resin to kind of fill in a couple other little spots on the windshield, but they're not going to cure because you actually have to eliminate the oxygen from accessing or from getting to your resin. Because if it's exposed to oxygen in the air, it just won't cure. At least it will take a long time anyway to cure. And that's why you have the little tab, the curing tab that goes over top of your work. So the next step is to peel this back and hope that our resin cured properly. And it did. Perfect. And we can use the razor blade to just get rid of the old resin. Wow. Zoom in here so you can see our repair. Or not. Well, if it's on camera, it's right here. It's really, really hard to see. So it is right here. There, now you can see it. Just barely. So a marked improvement. And there you have it. Well, that is my very first windshield chip repair, and I gotta say that was pretty easy. So if you're contemplating taking this on yourself, I highly recommend this product. It's actually it's done a really good job. So it's PERMATEX, and it's just a single repair, but it does a really good job. Check out the description below. I'll put a link to the product in the description if you want to give it a shot. It's super inexpensive, and I think it did a fantastic job. So now I can rest easy, not worry about that crack spreading and getting any worse. Guys, if you liked this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Comment below if you have any suggestions for future chips that I need to repair, or if you think I did anything wrong, or if I did help you out, by all means, leave a comment below. Guys, thanks so much. Have a great day.